Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Absolutely Fabulous. It's episode 42, and we are very much looking forward to having a great big chat with you. Gillian's going to give us a rundown of the Australian Women in Agriculture Conference, which she got to go in person to.
I am, and we're also going to talk about the tragic and untimely death of Alex Thomas's father and her push to improve healthcare access in regional, rural and remote communities across Australia.
We have two reels sent in by you guys, which we are going to review. One is in regards to a fake raw milk story. Do not fall for fake news on the internet. We're also going to be answering a question yours about one of the Ag Department cuts that we spoke about previously.
And glow-in-the-dark roads. Australia proposal to build them. I've got a funny story about my recent driving escapades in Adelaide and things that glow and don't glow, so we'll share that then.
$20 million research project into FMD vaccination. We're going to deep dive into that one.
Excellent, because it's very pertinent at this moment, given that they are having some outbreaks of bovine diseases in Europe and the UK. Well, not the UK yet, but Europe. So always worth keeping an eye on those. So
hi, welcome to Absolutely Fabulous. My name is Gillian Fennell, also known as Station Mum 101. I love everything about agriculture, especially the people and especially communicating about what makes Australian ag so special.
And I'm Katja Williams, a beef, cattle and cropping farmer, and I love all things ag, and I'm also known as the ultimate farm wife. Together, we are Absolutely Fabulous, and we are talking all things agriculture beyond the headlines.
And we can't wait to give our opinion to you, and we hope you enjoy it.
So let's get into today's episode.
Oh, Katja, I've been away all week. What have you been up to?
Busy week on farm with kids and everything going on. I learnt the hard way that you can't delete things in OneDrive on your computer without deleting them off your computer. So I have a heap of the Ultimate Farm Wife stuff, which I'm praying has backed up to my external hard drive, but the kids have taken the cord for it. So I've got to try and either find the cord or get a new cord, and I'm praying it's on my external hard drive because that includes my book, which I have been writing, and my first draft is almost complete. So I'm devastated if it's not on there. I'm really praying that it has backed up. Otherwise, I might need to go on a writer's retreat, and the first day I can just cry, and then the second day I can try and write out another draft of my book.
If you're listening to this and you are some sort of OneDrive wizard, please get in contact with Katja and help her recover that stuff if possible, because if it's not on the external hard drive, we don't need to see tears. We don't need that extra pressure. So please help Katja do that.
But on a positive note, I did go down for a drive and see my sister Dan at Griffith and her new baby, which was a beautiful weekend to spend with her. I took two of the kids, 2 out of the 4 with me. It was a great weekend, and we picked up our brand new black Kelpie puppy. So I'm going to send some pictures through to Gillian so she can pop those up on the socials if you're interested in the new puppy.
Does the puppy have a name yet?
The puppy will be registered under Baxter, but the kids will name a different name probably. Scratchy Paws is their current front leader.
No dog ever keeps their original name anyway. They always morph into something else. It's like our cat. He was originally, we thought it was a she first because the adoption paperwork got mixed around because we adopted 2 cats at the same time. Then we discovered it was a boy. So he was called Batcat because he does have a semi-Batman symbol on his ribs. And now, because when he was cut at the vet, I didn't know this, but they leave the testicles intact. They just sort of cut the tubes in between. So he obviously didn't develop properly. So now he's called Batcat Big Ball because he only has one testicle. And it's overcompensating for being the only one there. So he gets called Big Ball, Biggest Ballers, Batcat Big Ball. So, and no animal keeps their original name.
Nope. No, that's fair enough. That must be a cat thing, because when we went to send our cat into the vet because he started spraying, and I was like, nope, I'm not going to have a cat that sprays. So I took him into the vet, and he had to go in twice actually, because the first time they went to de-sex him, they thought he was a girl, and they cut him open, and then they had to wait for that to heal so then they could actually go in and do the second operation. So someone didn't read the paperwork because all of it was correct. He was written down as a boy.
You'd like to think that a vet could do a physical examination of a creature and determine its sex before they started cutting things open. But anyway, vets are under an extraordinary amount of pressure, so we won't judge the vets too harshly on that one, because they've probably been up all day nursing someone's bloody guinea pig or something. So
fair enough. But let's jump into it. So Gillian, you were at the Australian Women in Agricultural Conference. I had the most FOMO I've experienced in a long time. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be with you, especially when you're sending through photos of people who we have caught up in the past there. Shout out to Kira and Cara.
Yeah. And it was a really, I'm a little bit biased. I think Adelaide is an excellent conference city, unlike Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, those sorts of things. Everything is within walking distance. You're right in the CBD. The venues are excellent. The airport's only right there. It's a quick Uber or taxi drive away. We don't have a tram from the airport to the Glenelg. We don't have a tram to the airport or a train, which is a bit frustrating, but it is like right on the edge of the CBD, so it's pretty good. The venue was lovely down at Glenelg on the ocean front. Not that I particularly enjoy the sea, but it was nice to look at through the window. But yeah, the content of the conference, and again, because we were there last year in Albury-Wodonga, it is just such a supportive, friendly, welcoming vibe. And one thing I did love this year, because we had this discussion last year with some of the Dept, Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries people, and followed that up with discussions at further staff at Dept that I met in a social situation in Canberra, about how many farmers these people actually know in real life. And some of them would say, oh, no, none. So Dept sent a very large contingent of their staff to the AWiA conference to meet farmers in the flesh, to find out what we're like, to learn about on-the-ground issues. And I applaud that. Quite happy for my taxpayer dollars to be spent in that way, because how can you enforce policies or put in place projects for people that you do not know or understand? And a big theme of the conference was building these long-term relationships and those sorts of things. So, the junior Dept staffer that just started there this year, in 20 years' time, they might be the head of Dept. So it really pays to build those genuine connections. This isn't to say that you're going to fake being their friend or something, but welcome them into your world, welcome them and listen to what they have to say in their perspectives, and then share yours in a respectful way, because that's how you get things done. Realistically, you don't get things done by performing on the front page of the newsletter, on the newspaper. You get things done by picking up the phone or sending an email to someone you have an existing relationship with and saying, hey, can we talk? Because, I've got some views about this, and let's help get this moving in a better direction. That's how shit works in this sort of world. So it's not what you know, it's who you know. But yeah, it was a really great conference. The first day, everyone sort of had their guard up like a little bit, because it's a different sort of conference. But the next day we had some really raw, honest, open conversations, something you never see at a mixed gendered conference. I think it's very unique to that woman only space. And yeah, a great time was had by all.
Beautiful. Did you have a favourite speaker?
Oh, I did not have a favourite speaker, to be honest, because the conference organising committee did a marvellous job this year of having speakers who are good at what they do. Some speakers have never had that platform before, but still spoke really well. The panel sessions were good and were really well moderated. And so everyone performed really well, and everyone had something of value to say, which is good, because we all go to conferences where, for whatever reason, some speakers don't quite hit the mark, or they're pretty boring, or it's just all slide after slide after slide. And you don't know until you get in the room and see that happen, because some people aren't blessed with the gift of being an entertaining speaker, because it does take a lot of practice. It takes a lot of guts to do that, to put yourself out there. So for people who've never participated in that sort of public speaking space or panel space before, they got up, they were open, they were honest, they, gave heartfelt anecdotes and those sorts of things. So I think everyone did really, really well.
Yeah, amazing. And the gala would have been amazing. It's one of my favourite events at the Australian Women in Agriculture, is the gala dinner, because I do like to dress up. I don't get to do it very often.
And I said that, like I said to someone I was sitting with, I said, it's often that in these like women only events, you see women, they will go off the wall, they will go completely glamorous, extravagant, everything they never get a chance to wear, or they take the opportunity to be comfortable in their own skin, to wear things that are special to them, that they feel good in, and there's no pretense. You turn up sort of as you want to be, and it was lovely, except, and you might have seen the photos on my socials, I haven't put them on Instagram yet, but the dessert.
I didn't see that.
So in South Australia, we have a thing called a frog cake, right? And it's a little sponge cake looking thing, and it's covered in fondant, and it's meant to look like a frog. They're very traditional. People love them. They're like iconic. We didn't have frog cakes. We had frog ice cream balls. So it was a scoop of vanilla ice cream in lime green chocolate. It was like not flavored though, it was just colored green, and little eyes. And mine, like, I think he had a stroke because his pupil was blown and it was looking off to the side, and a mouth. And so that was, I'm assuming it was meant to be a frog, and it was sitting on a lamington. And you know how I feel about surprise jam. So I opened the lamington up first, full of jam. So like, I don't know whether the caterers thought, oh, agriculture, animals, let's serve them up an animal for dessert. But it was probably one of the most unusual things I had encountered at a conference. But everything, other than the frog dessert, everything was lovely. The catering was lovely. It is hard work catered, because it was full house, 255 people. Really hard to cater for that number of people and have everything hot, fresh, and not, because people's tastes vary wildly. You can't have it too spicy, you can't have it too bland. You've got to hit that sweet spot in the middle. You've got to have enough variety so that everyone can find something to eat. And then you got your dietary requirements, all that sort of stuff. Catering was great, bar service was great, except for the frog. I'll put some photos up of the frog, so
I'm looking forward to seeing photos.
Everyone can marvel at it.
Well, with that, because then our next piece is revolving around South Australia and Alex Thompson, who's a big part of the Australian agriculture scene, particularly in plant to seed for safety. It is a true passion of hers. Gillian, can you take the lead on the next topic? So this is topic 2.
Yeah, so Alex Thomas, lovely, lovely lady. She's the powerhouse behind Plant a Seed for Safety. So getting farmers to come to work every day with that safety mindset, and acknowledging that a lot of us are like, oh, we can't have a safety plan written down on a piece of paper, but just encouraging us to do what is necessary for our legislative requirements, because we are employers, but also having a think before you do outrageous things, because we all tend to do outrageous things, such as using the tractor bucket to lift us up to work on shed roofs and all that sort of stuff. Like, not saying I've ever seen that happen before, because that would be highly illegal, but I have heard on occasion that people do highly illegal and unsafe things. So trying to change the mindset that, safety first mindset. So Alex and her dad has been unwell for quite some time and has very sadly passed away. So condolences to Alex and her family for that. Her dad was a lovely man, farmer from forever, a really just salt of the earth bush bloke. So this Alex got really passionate about this. Well, she's always been passionate about it, but when her dad was approaching his not even approaching his end of life, I guess, he needed significant amounts of medical care that they said could not be provided in his local community of Crystal Brook, which is understandable. It's not a very large community, but Port Pirie, which is quite a large regional town, is only I think it's 20 something Ks down the road, 27 Ks down the way. It couldn't either be provided there, even though they have quite a large hospital and medical sort of staff there. He was told by specialists that he could either relocate to Adelaide to have the ongoing care or go home and pass away. And this is not something new that for any of us who live in rural, remote or regional communities. Alex is calling for urgent bipartisan healthcare reform, and this is something that RAM or Remote Australians Matter have also been calling for quite some time. There is no minimum standard of healthcare provision in the bush. So we are just supposed to be lucky and happy with whatever dregs and crumbs we get thrown, which is quite frankly unacceptable, especially when you think about the amount of money that is generated in the regional areas of Australia. So we are basically left to our own devices, which we obviously can't provide because we're not the public health system. And it's those ongoing things that you may need to access that are also incredibly stressful for yourself and your family, like dialysis, chemotherapy, all those types of things that are serious medical issues. But then you've got your allied health as well, speech therapy, physiotherapy, basic GP services. We simply don't have access to them. So we will post some links to what Alex is doing and Remote Australians Matter about what they're doing, and you can join and you can help the fight. Even if you don't live in rural and regional and remote areas, it is important that you help spread the word about the lack of healthcare in Australia for a lot of Australians, because it's a second-class citizen sort of thing. It is not acceptable in a country as wealthy as Australia.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's not a very happy thing, but it is one of the things that we do need to talk about and we do need to consider, especially given that elections will come around again. So we need to make these things a priority. Equitable healthcare access for every Australian. So yeah, Katja, this one will be right up your alley. Fake raw milk news, because you've come on to a bit of raw milk, haven't you? Because it's helpful for your kids.
So there's research that says that raw milk and those that have a dairy intolerance, they can have raw milk because it's got all the enzymes in it that haven't. So it hasn't been treated. So it's got all the enzymes in it that can help the body break it down. So you're not only drinking the milk itself, but you're drinking the enzymes that can break it down. But I did have a good laugh when one of our AgFabs sent through this reel about fake raw milk. So for those who haven't seen it, we'll try and share it to our socials as well. But this lady is just saying false fact after false fact about raw milk. So basically, she says that you can keep raw milk because it's untreated, it's unpasteurized in your fridge for up to 6 weeks, and she compares it to breast milk. Not safe. Whether it's pasteurized or not, whether it's breast milk or not, you cannot keep it in the fridge for 6 weeks. You wouldn't do that with any normal product anyway, let alone something that hasn't been treated and has been, hosed down. The dairies do the best they can, but they're also doing that because they know that the milk's going to be treated. So myself and many other people I know, especially dairy farmers, do drink raw milk regularly, but they are not selling it. They are, because it's illegal in Australia to sell raw milk, but it's from their own farm, from their own animal, and they had no time drinking it the same day it's been milked. So it's pretty much straight from the animal. They are not leaving it in the fridge for 6 weeks. She then goes on to say about, don't worry if it does go off, that's just turning into yogurt. Now, yogurt and milk and off milk are two very different things. So I think you need to watch the video to have your say on this. So we're going to try and share it to our socials. Gillian, what are you about all this fake milk? Like, do your research, go to reliable sources, don't take people's word on the internet.
Yeah, don't, because if you want to drink raw milk, that's your business. I don't believe it, because there's 3 things you need to consider if you're going to eat any untreated product, right? So that's time, temperature and transportation. If you are a dairy farmer or you are blessed to have a neighbour as a dairy farmer and you go every morning and collect a litre of milk that's been freshly milked out of the cows and it goes straight into a sterilised container and it goes straight into your fridge and gets straight to the correct temperature, then yes, there's every possibility that it will be safe for you to drink and it won't make you sick, right? That's the difference between being able to access that fresh raw product, whether it's milk or meat or cheese or whatever that you're going to do. The reason that we have treated milk in the supermarket is because it takes a longer time to get to the supermarket. The temperature, even though we're much, much better at it nowadays at keeping things correct temperature, you don't know what's going to happen in the back loading dock of Woolies. Does it sit in the carton in the milk crate for 2 hours before it goes into the fridge? It still won't be off, but it does raise the chance of getting that bacteria growing. And how far has that milk been transported? Firstly in the tanker, then in bottles. Every link in the chain adds more risk about that bacteria growing to dangerous levels because the bacteria exists everywhere. That's why you have to be really, really careful and keep things really, really clean. If you want to make the decision to drink raw milk, go ahead, but just be aware that feeding it to vulnerable people such as people, young children, elderly people and people who are immunocompromised, it can make them really sick and kill them. So be informed about what you're doing and be sensible. But do not eat any raw product that is sat in your fridge for 6 weeks because, again, time and temperature. Your fridge is not, like, it's perfectly good for keeping cooked foods and treated foods that you buy from the shop. It will keep them fresh long enough so that you can consume them in a normal space of time. It is not an industrial temperature controlled UV light meat, hanging facility. It is not. It's a domestic fridge and treated it, you can't even keep cooked stuff in the fridge for 6 weeks. That's why you have a freezer. Like, don't take advice from bonkers, and I don't know why that poor person said that, because once upon a time
this is going to be good.
Once upon a time, so I had these cousins and they had town cousins, and we were out at a sheep station as kids, and we were feeding the potty lambs down the sheep station, and we accidentally left one of the bottles down there, and it was in Queensland and it was hot weather. So when we went back down that afternoon to feed the potty lambs again, there was a bottle of lamb milk and it had got a nice big thick chunky layer on top. So we said to town cousin, we said, you know what that is? And he said, what? I said, that's cream. And he ate it.
Did he get sick?
He was violently ill immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you put milk in your fridge and it turns into chunks, it is not yogurt, it is not cream, and it is not butter. It is not safe to consume for anybody. Don't even feed it to your pets because it will make them vomit and shit everywhere. So that is a really bad idea. Don't do that.
Absolutely. And if you want to know more of our opinions on raw milk and the research that we've previously done, we have had another episode on about raw milk, which would actually be almost 12 months ago, because we recorded it together when we were down at the Australian Women in Agriculture last year together. So go back and listen to that if you want to know more about it. Now, we also had an AgFabs question come in. It says, hi, Gillian and Katja. I heard that some of the Ag department cut staff were not given redundancy packages. They weren't on contracts and they were required to sign non-disclosure paperwork. Do you know if this is true? Does this sound illegal? Did you do any snooping?
I did do some snooping, and obviously I can't find anything out, but to be completely honest, it would not surprise me. A lot of government departments, because they're always strapped for cash, have moved to this situation where people are not on permanent contracts. They are temporary contracts. They are put on as casuals, all of these sorts of things where they can just terminate their employment effective immediately, those sorts of things, as budgets and those sorts of things change. I would like to think that they're not breaking the law, but if I was one of those people who had my employment terminated, I would certainly be seeking advice from a HR consultant, because it doesn't sound right and it certainly doesn't sound fair. But I'm also not really surprised because government being what government does, they tend to do these sorts of things pretty frequently, and it's always sort of regional staff or lower level staff who bear the brunt of these types of decisions. You never see this happening to the upper echelons of management and those sorts of things. So if you are in this situation, please reach out to a HR consultant or specialist employment solicitor or lawyer and get some independent third-party advice, because, you know, maybe a class action might be just what the Victorian government needs to lift its game when it comes to its staff, because it affects all of us. When staff are treated unfairly and when staff are removed suddenly and without good reason, then that disrupts entire industries. And I think it would be beneficial for them to give the hiring and firing and staffing levels of all departments a bit more consideration, especially towards the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. For those who might have skipped an episode, that was in relation to the ag cuts that we discussed. Was it last week, week before?
I think it was last week. May have been week before. I lose track of time. Time management isn't my greatest skill, so.
That's why I organise that side of it normally.
Yeah. That's why I just arrive and can't really planned everything.
You have sent previously. You are the talent.
I have attempted to be of assistance on some occasion, and sometimes I even get it right. So.
Wonderful. Well, let's go into glow in the dark roads. So I sent this article through to Gillian because I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I was all for the comment section on this one. So this article is about Australia is building glow in the dark roads to boost nighttime driving safety. It is a trialling initiative that is using BioGlow tech developed by Omni Group Directive. So basically, your roads are going to glow in the dark. But the comment section was absolutely hilarious. Most people were asking, so instead of the white lines being painted in this substance that's going to make them glow, many people wanted to know about whether or not they were going to put this glowing substance around all the potholes and whether they could fix that first. And so I think we'll probably try and take some pictures and pop them on our socials with all these comments. But basically the number one comment was about potholes. Like, if you're going to go to all of this to try and make our roads safe, can you please at least put the glowing around the potholes?
It's fascinating that the people who come up with these ideas have never actually been outside in Australia at night time, because if something glows, it is immediately going to be covered in 50 million bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's going to be drawing animals into our roads, more animals to our roads.
If you have ever lived in, like, I don't know if you guys get them in New South Wales, but when I lived in Western Queensland, gidgee bugs, which stink to high heaven, often you get plagues of them and they just overrun everything. Like, and crickets, sometimes you get cricket plagues and they stink to high heaven as well, but they like anything that glows. Underneath street lights, anywhere where there's like reflective surfaces, like a mirror or a window pane or anything, you'd come out in the morning and like literally mounds and piles of dead bugs. And so that's going to happen if something glows. I'm a bit concerned about this because my night vision isn't great. I get really, especially in town, so with all the street lights and car lights and those sorts of things, I find it really, really difficult to see clearly where I'm driving. So much so that I was in Murray Bridge for a Livestock SA function last week, and we ended up getting back to the office late and then had to drive to the motel. I was halfway back to the motel before I realised I didn't have my headlights on, because so they're like, we had street lights, we had house lights, we had lights on the side of the road, and I got probably to Goodwood Road in Adelaide, which is a pretty main thoroughfare, before I went, oh shit, I'm being very illegal at the moment, and didn't have my headlights on, because there's so much other sources of light around. You don't notice or realise. It was only when I looked down at my dash and it wasn't glowing, I went, oh, something's very wrong here. Uh-oh, headlights.
In my car's the opposite, because my dash will glow as soon as the light decreases to a certain level. So usually about when the sun's setting, my dash will light up. But my dash will light up. That does not mean my headlights are on.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think and again, the thing about the potholes is very valid, because I've just spent some time in Port Pirie, which I am convinced has the roughest streets of any town in Australia. It is shocking. Like, I've got a 4-wheel drive and it is still unbearably rough on most streets. And it is let's do safety, but if you're really serious about road safety in Australia, fence down each side of the road, because it's kangaroos, emus, birds, cattle, livestock on the roads, which are actually, especially in rural areas, are responsible for most accidents and crashes. Keep livestock and native animals off the road. It's better for them. It's much, much better for your motor vehicle. It is, it's one of those things that sounds really cool, and that, like, what can we've developed this technology, let's find a job for it. Oh, let's make it. It's like AgTech 2.0. We've found this technology, now let's convince people they really need it, and they slap safety on it, and then all of a sudden it's become the must-have thing. But I could think of a lot better things for road safety than to make them glow.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think, like, this is being labelled as brand new technology, but do you remember the glow-in-the-dark stars you used to put in your bedrooms? I don't know if that was like a 90s thing, but everyone had glow-in-the-dark stars. So it's not new technology glow-in-the-dark. It might be new technology and applying it to, road paint, but definitely not as a technology itself. I'm also thinking, like, okay, if they're going to fence the roads, then they need to make sure that they've got, appropriate space either side. And in some areas where the government has just told farmers, we're going to put this road through because it needs to go through, we need transport. So they've already taken the space for roads, and then they're going to have to take extra space for fencing. It's going to be that next sort of battle as well, though. So I don't think that will be like a solution that is so easily fixed. If we're going to do something like that, they're going to have to do some form of long-term compensation for that.
Yep.
But and also when you're talking about driving at night, I have just had a filter put in to nighttime glasses. So I went and saw my optometrist, and they have put a filter into my glasses for driving at night, because I was saying the same thing. I was saying it's too bright. Like, when the traffic light, when the lights are coming towards me with all these brand new LED lights, they're so bright, I can't see anything. But they've got a filter in my glasses now which stop that, so it stops the LED lights from spreading, so I can still see the headlight but not the spread of the light.
Yeah, I need to get to an optometrist. It's one of those jobs that I have been not putting off on purpose, but it's like everything else is sort of coming first. But yeah, you're right. And it's the roadside management in Australia is ludicrous, because we can't trim the bushes or clear it to keep like livestock off the road, because obviously road collects water runs to the edge of the road. That's where the first bit of green pickup comes up. In my country, it's like kangaroo central on the edge of a road as soon as you get like 2 mils of rain. We can't poison that or keep that under control, because that's native vegetation, and obviously that's very special. We're going to keep this scabby, dirty old bit of shrubbery here on the side of the road instead of making it safe for the people who drive on the road, because heaven forbid we get rid of some dirty old bushes that are in poor health and actually aren't providing a great habitat anyway. And I don't think people comprehend just simply how large our road network is in Australia and how much space you're talking about. We've got a lot of roads, and most of them are very, very poorly maintained. Most of them aren't managed very well at all. But it's, they need to be managed better, because it is a safety issue. Like, stuff leaps out of the bushes at a moment's notice, because animals have no brains. Let's face it, they're animals. They can't be trusted to stay in their lane, although there was a proposal in Canberra. They wanted to have like virtual fencing along the sides of the roads to keep the kangaroos from jumping onto the road. How that was proposed to work, I'm not exactly sure, because most virtual fencing works with a feedback collar around the animal's neck, whether it was an audible one or a visual one, like through lasers or something. But again, demonstrating that they've never had anything to do with kangaroos, because they will do anything in any circumstances, and none of it has any rhyme or reason a lot of the time. They're very unpredictable creatures. So, yeah, it's but yeah, making the roads glow is not the solution to any problems that we have. Go and figure out something else that needs to glow, and maybe start from there.
If anyone has any other suggestions on what they could be doing instead, apart from just fixing the potholes, then please make sure that you're going to pop those in the comment section below. Now, before we jump into our last topic, I'm going to scroll up through my notes. So, beautiful Bridget, who is an AgFab, and she also has an interview upcoming on The Ultimate Farm Wife, which she will be our #1 episode for season 9, which is coming out this spring. Bridget is from Homestead Road and you can find her on Instagram, Homestead Road AU. She has provided the AgFabs and the Ultimate Farm Wife community with a discount code. So it's Katja40 for 40% off her clothing. So in the show notes, as well as on our socials, we're going to do a tile up so that you can find her line and get yourself 40% off using that code. Now that code is only for a few weeks. So if you are looking at her items and you want to grab some, grab them soon. And thank you so much, Bridget. So she has designed a sophisticated and sensible range for women on the land. This is using merino wool.
I'm in. I'm actually in a climate where I can wear wool on occasion.
I love wool. I will make sure that I am the only person in my household now that washes wool, though, because I'm sick of my beautiful wool garments being shrunk. But if you do want to learn more about wool care and her items, please keep an eye out for that interview or head to the website. She's got a full page dedicated to wool care. But Bridget from Homestead Road is founded by a fifth-generation wool producer built on the values of versatility, quality, durability, and sustainability. Bridget is also a mum of 4 and understands the importance of clothing and fashion and looking after your body and identity changes. So wonderful merino wool range, gorgeous hats, gorgeous activewear. She's done a beautiful, beautiful job. We're going to put as much as we can up on our socials this week.
That awesome. We'll get onto that. Well, I'll get onto that. I promise. I swear. Because that 40% is an amazing discount. We cannot let anyone miss out on that.
No, absolutely not. So jumping into our final article for this afternoon. So we have been sent in a new article which was put out by the MLA, which is Meat and Livestock Australia, about their 20 million research partnership, seeing Australian pioneer world first FMD vaccination. So basically, as Gillian said in our intro, so much is going on in the world in this space, and it is amazing that Australia has put forward this amount of money to be able to protect the industry. Now, many people will look at the sum of $20 million and go, oh my goodness, that's a lot spent on this. But the impact on the economy for Australia, if it gets into Australia, is over $80 billion. So spending 20 to protect over 80 is a massive, I don't know, it's
cheap. It's super cheap.
Because it's cheap. And we're on the front foot, because I think in one of our previous episodes, we talked about being on the front foot. Don't wait for it to be here. We've got to be proactive. This is an amazing incentive that is proactive, and it's really going to help in the long term.
Because if you're in this space, when you're talking about a biosecurity incident and potential for incursions, you have to start think of it's not if, it's when. And what will happen, because we've done a lot of planning around LSD, so that's lumpy skin disease, and FMD, foot and mouth disease, because they are literally a stone's throw from Australia in Indonesia, which is one of our major trading partners. We like to go there on holiday as well. We like to send our products there. So there's Australians and Indonesians coming back and forth all the time. And, you know, diseases and microbes being what they are and how they can be transmitted, it's not an impermeable barrier. You have to plan and go forward with the idea that it is a possibility of happening. And this is a very, very reasonable thing to be researching. I know a lot of the RDC funding comes under fire for it. Oh, it's pointless, it's this, it's that, it's a waste of money. I don't want my levy payer dollars spent on that. If you don't want your levy payers dollars spent on things like vaccinations for serious diseases, then you're an idiot. This is exactly what I won't tolerate people going, oh, but it's a vaccine. Tough shit. It will save our industry. You know, like, it will save people's communities. It will save people's livelihoods, and not just ours, but other people around the world. Having a livestock creature in your family is often the difference between life and death for you and your family. And so keeping that animal healthy and keeping those people out of poverty and death is a really good thing to do, because the more that they can do for themselves, the less they rely on other people to do it. And next thing, they're making enough meat and milk to provide their neighbour and start a business, and they're lifting their whole country up. Mm-hmm. And then they can afford to buy our stuff. Like, That's how this thing works. We've got to, lift people up out of poverty and keep them healthy and safe. And vaccines do that. And if you don't believe that, then I got no time for you. Really sorry, especially when it comes to animal health. Especially when it comes to animal health. If you think it's going to do something to you when you consume an animal or animal products that have been vaccinated, then you don't understand science. So, yeah, I don't know what else to tell you.
And now that Gillian has offended part of the audience, though.
Well, realistically, like, I don't care because they're wrong. And people, like, and you see this a lot in online. People are like, oh, yeah, but I've got my opinion. But your opinion is wrong. It is your opinion. You're not an animal scientist. You're not a vet. You don't, I believe a lot of things too that are wrong because I'm not an expert. So, but don't go forward with the confidence that your opinion is as valuable as somebody else's because they've got a lifetime's worth of research and experience and tertiary qualifications and actual skills and knowledge, and you've watched a YouTube video or read something. You're not the same. It's like, I've got very strong opinions about certain things, but I'm not as qualified as some people. So they're probably right and I'm probably wrong. But I'm not wrong about vaccines and keeping people safe and healthy. I do know that one for a fact.
And with that, guys, if you have an opinion on anything that we have shared, because we love giving our opinion, we also love hearing your opinion, jump on the socials, leave us a comment. As always, the email address will be in the show notes, so please send us an email. Keep sending those reels and research articles. We love reading them and discussing them here on the podcast. And if you want to get all this information in one place, then please make sure you're also subscribed to the newsletter, which will go out once a month. And that will also be in the show notes below. Leave us a 5-star review and we will see you next week on the podcast.
Bye.